Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video, I'm giving you some reasons as to why I think plastic phones are better than metal phones. Now, I know that different makes and models of plastic phones are comprised of different material and chemical, and the same can be said about metal phones. Different manufacturers and models will use different types of metal for their phone. And I'm not bashing metal phones entirely because of this video. You might think that, but for example, the metal phone I'm using in this video is the HTC One M8. It is actually one of my most favorite devices I've ever used, ever. In fact, I think it's one of the top devices of 2014, and I'm expecting great things from the next version of the HTC One. So, I'm going to be giving you a whole bunch of reasons as to why I think plastic is better than metal. Not because I'm bashing on metal phones, like I said, but I just find that plastic is better. I find that metal is very impractical for a phone. It's much better with plastic, but watch the video, judge for yourself, and then let me know what you think afterwards. So let's start with the strength of material. I actually find it weird that people actually think that buying a metal device will make it resistant to damage, most practically, of course, dropping your device. The screen on a smartphone tends to take up almost half the surface space. So once you drop it and it lands on the screen, your device is gone, no matter if it's plastic or metal. This is actually the reason I hate drop test videos for smartphones, and why people ask me a lot of times, hey, why don't you do a drop test video? That's why. It's one of the most impractical things you can do, because once the screen is gone, it's gone. On the topic of resistant to damage, I have to say that metal phones are prone to scratching like crazy. Now on the HTC M8, which I'm showing you guys right now, the metal phone, it's a little bit difficult to see. With my own eyes, it's a lot easier to see all these little scratches, these fine scratches here and there. Now plastic can be self-healing. Sometimes if you scratch it a little bit and you rub it, it tends to heal. I'm not saying that plastic is guaranteed to heal itself no matter what, but it can do a decent job. Whereas metal, well, the tiniest paper kind of scratch, once it's there, and unfortunately it can't be rubbed out. Now, accessing the battery on a metal device is almost near impossible. Metal devices tend to have a unibody design, so basically they're self-enclosed. It's all just one piece, basically, if you will. Now, I'm not saying there's a guarantee you'll be able to access the battery on a plastic phone. Some smartphones that are made out of plastic tend to have a unibody design as well, but there's a higher chance you'll be able to access the battery. And a lot of people might think, what's the point of that, considering batteries are getting a lot better on smartphones? Well, it's good for people that travel a lot. They have to carry a spare battery. Or let's say you get a faulty battery and you need to repair it. Well, instead of going to a repair shop that's going to charge a lot of money, maybe you can just buy one of your own and just switch it yourself. And let's not forget that metal phones tend to be heavier than plastic phones. Gripping a plastic phone is, well, it's pretty decent. It's not as good as, say, a rubber phone, which is very rare, but they do exist. But plastic phones tend to provide a decent amount of grip. Some devices like the Note 4, which I'm holding now, have different types of textures and different types of material used on the back to provide additional grip. Whereas metal phones, well, tend to be quite slippery. Devices that are completely metal around, say like the HTC M8 I'm holding, tend to be fairly slippery. The point of temperature is something a lot of people might not be aware of. Now, I keep my phone on a car dock. This is great for Google Maps, or if I'm just playing stuff, if I plug in the auxiliary wire to my stereo system, it's a fantastic media device while driving. The point that people might not be aware of is the temperature problem with metal phones. For example, here on my car dock, it's at the vent. So if I have the AC running, the phone gets too cold, and metal phones tend to stay colder a longer period of time than plastic. If I have the heat running, then, well, metal phones tend to get hotter than plastic phones, and they stay hotter after I take off the car dock. Now, if you have the argument that, well, it's on a car vent dock, that's my own problem, that's true. Now, if I were to keep a car dock on the dashboard, the argument can still be used in the summer. If it's too hot and there's too much sunlight coming in, metal phones tend to get very hot and they retain that heat even after you take it out of sunlight. And of course, in the winter, I'm recording this segment for the metal phone for about a minute and a half, and after I was done, I took the phone inside and it was still cold. It is like minus 20 degrees Celsius outside, but the metal phone stayed colder longer and much colder than the plastic phone did. Now, I'm not saying plastic phones are resistant to temperatures. That's actually not the case at all. But the point I'm trying to argue is that whether it's on a car vent dock or on a car dashboard, plastic phones are a bit more better in terms of temperature handling. They don't get as cold or hot as a metal phone, and even when they're taken out of that environment, so if it's cold or if it's hot, once you take it out of the environment and you go to a room temperature, plastic phones tend to go back to room temperature a lot faster than metal phones do. And of course, that extreme change in temperature will have an adverse effect on parts and battery. So if you have a metal device and it gets hotter than a plastic one, In the long run, well, you're gonna have to be a little bit careful. When buying a $700-800 smartphone, customization is pretty important, and of course that includes color of the body. Metal devices do tend to be available in different colors, but not as much of a selection as plastic devices. Then of course there's placement of the smartphone on a surface. When placing a plastic device on a surface like say my glass desk, I don't feel bad, I actually feel okay placing it there, but when placing a metal device on it, I always feel like it's gonna crack something, like something's gonna break. So there you have it, those are my reasons as to why I think plastic phones are better than metal. I'm sure a lot of people will be frustrated with what I have to say and argue it. Go ahead, that's what the comment section is for. Please just keep the comments clean. Or perhaps I missed some points as to why you think plastic phones are better than metal. Maybe I missed a point that you think I should have mentioned. Go ahead and mention that comment section too. But that's it for me. I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, be sure to check my Facebook, Google+, Twitter links in the video description. Hit the like button, it does help. Subscribe, and thanks for watching.